In the modern world, more people are interested in technology and computers and smartphones and uh, all the different social media and everything that you can fiddle around on and share information and so on. People are far more interested in this in our world than in the world of nature now. Some years ago, I was sitting on a train in the UK, in the northwest of England, where I grew up, and as I was going on the train through the countryside, I kind of realized how few people were out in the fields and the forests, and everybody's in the cities and in the towns because that's where the work is, that's where the money is, and comfortable way of living and so on. Um, However, this disconnects people from nature often. Doesn't have to, but it often it does, and then you get basically a situation like we have today, where the younger generations have no idea um, what other life lives here on this planet. They don't learn anymore what the small plants and flowers that grow everywhere all around that we just call weeds, the insects and the bees and hoverflies, dragonflies, moths, butterflies, all the different creatures that live in the soil, like millipedes and centipedes and earthworms and mites and all different kinds of the fungi and all of the things that live and basically um, not only they are important in their own right, they have a justified existence in their own being without any utilitarian ideas of human beings first. They live and their existence is justified on account of the fact that they exist. But secondly, these all of the different life forms that exist basically make it so that we can live as human beings. The more diversity that exists in the life forms and the habitats and ecosystems, the better and more comfortable life will be for human beings. When human beings are indifferent to that life and just go about their day, not paying any attention, and quite frankly, actually just literally destroying everything else that exists, um, in megalomaniac egotism and selfishness, this basically is detrimental to our foundation of life that we require to breathe, we require to eat and drink, clean water. The plants are responsible for cleaning the air, and the life forms create such a interconnected and symbiotic systems that basically make soil, clean air, purify water, and basically make it so that we can just basically live. Um, Also, the world of the plants and animals and insects and other life forms is very important for the psyche of the human being because it generates a state of well-being to be in nature. Anybody who spends a lot of time in the natural world, whether it's in the woodlands, meadows, or on the coastlines, marshlands, or whatever, who makes an effort to go out into nature still, um, knows firsthand how much of an amazing experience when their eyes are open, how much of a beautiful, connecting, healing experience it is to be out in the natural world. Um, So I think that this digital addiction that's taken hold in the young people and also in the older people too, that just means that they don't bother about nature anymore. They don't care because, they have their lot. Uh, they're comfortable in their life or whatever. So they don't think that they need to respect the natural world or go there to find things out and observe the free nature with all of the different life forms. They think that it's just some kind of, I don't know, like a useless side issue. I don't really know what the mentality is. I don't understand it myself. Um, yeah, so just a few words on the importance of nature and also doing something for nature as well. Often in the contact reports between Billy Edward Albert Meyer and the Plejaren, um, Billy often discusses, as well as the Plejaren, they have discussed also the importance of restoring natural habitat, planting trees, and restoring woodland ecosystems. I know in a contact report from last year, Quetzal gave a big tree list of deep-rooted trees for that area in Switzerland that the FIGU Centre is for the future on that particular site. Certain deep-rooted trees and so on. Some of them being native to that area, some of them not being native to that area. The discussion about neophytes or so-called invasive plant species and is discussed in the contact reports. And basically, because we're changing everything so fast, we're altering the climate, destroying everything. Actually, with our rampant overpopulation, we're actually destroying everything. We're a destructive force on this planet at the moment. We don't have to be. If we observe the laws and directives of the creation, we can also be a productive, constructive, and healing force on the earth if we pay attention and do the right thing. But yeah, many different tree species are recommended for that area to basically adapt to the changing conditions, climate conditions, and so on of the future. Any human being, wherever they live in the world, can either contribute towards people who are working to actively help the earth, restore the earth, plant food forests, and restore natural native woodlands um, with many different diverse species of trees, shrubs, bushes, climbers, vines, herbaceous perennial plants, ground cover plants, and bulbs, spring flowers, wildflowers, and so on and so forth. Those people are actively healthfully restoring the hydrology, the water, and how the water runs through the land, restoring ponds, wetlands, and biotopes. Anyone can support these people or help these organizations or groups of people who are actively doing this by if they're nearby in your area volunteering or helping out somewhere or another. Also, we can all grow small gardens, even if we're in cities or towns. We can grow quite a lot in small areas when we observe the layering system, for example, of a natural woodland. You can work with, for example, layers rather than just growing one layer of plants like some flowers. You can work with many different layers, like the 7-layer system of a food forest, for example, whereby you have canopy, subcanopy, shrub, and bush layer. You have perennial layer, herbaceous layer, and ground cover plants that basically grow horizontally and so on. And you have climbing plants that you can grow on fences or walls or to cover the ground. If you work with these layers, you can actually pack in a lot of vegetation in and a lot of diverse species with different characteristics and different growth habits, different flowering times and so on in a very small area that can benefit your local environment by improving air quality, taking the particulate matter or helping to filter the particulate matter out of the air. You can grow many different flowering and fruiting species for birds and insects and pollinating insects, for example, like flies and hoverflies and bees, many different types of bees that exist. Because there isn't just the one type of bee, for example, many people might not understand that there exists countless different types of bees. Many of them need cliff edges or banks of soil to nest in. Solitary bees, carpenter bees, and different types of bees that exist that some of them nest in the ground, some of them nest in cliff faces, and so on and so forth. Um, so yeah, the people can actually be a beneficial aspect in the world. We can cultivate gardens when we live out in the countryside or we have a bit more space. If we can acquire a field, an old field that's just been neglected, or create a co-op with your local, your neighbours, your friends, family, or whatever, you can actually create a group and a co-op and somehow acquire a field, or you can speak to the landowners or the farmers if they're open-minded to putting over some of their land for a reforestation project to restore natural woodlands or food forest project to provide food for the local people and wildlife habitat and pollen and nectar for the insects, bees and hoverflies and the butterflies and moths and so on that require that to live. Um, so there's so much potential in this regard. And I encourage everybody to do what they can in their area, keep their eyes and ears open, see if there's anybody around, organizations or groups that are doing permaculture or creating food forests or organic community gardens, and contribute, join in, help out, get outside, do some good physical work in nature because it really is healing. Get some fresh air, get some movement, and let's move away from a culture of just being continuously uh, brainwashed by the phones and not using our awareness and our attention very wisely, just by wasting time for many hours, in some cases a day, just basically doing nothing, looking at our phones and scrolling, and in the meantime, everything around them is just going to pot. So we can really be a beneficial force on this earth instead of a destructive force. So that is just a few words that I wanted to share today, and I hope it can inspire people to get out into nature, observe, connect, heal, and be a good, true human. Salome.